Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is Imam Muhammad Musri, and today we're going to give you a quick introduction to Zakat. And this is for the current year, 2018, or for this Ramadan 1439. And we'll start first with the importance of Zakat in Islam. In the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have spoken many times about Salat and Zakat together, saying, Aqimu salata wa atu zakat. Establish the Salah and give the Zakat. Some scholars counted over 82 times in the Quran that's mentioned. Also in the Hadith, we know from Abdullah ibn Umar ibn al-Khattab radiallahu anhuma that he reported in the important Hadith that Islam was established on 5, and he mentioned testifying that there is no God but Allah and Muhammad is the messenger of Allah as the first pillar. The second is establishing Salah, and the third is giving Zakat. Fourth, fasting the month of Ramadan, and fifth is the performing of Hajj to Mecca. Now, in calculating your Zakat, you want to cover all categories that you have. If you have all of them, some people have only one or two, some have all of them. The categories mentioned here are cash, stocks and bonds and investments, gold and silver, business investments, real estate investments, and salaries and bonuses or income that you have. And if you own cattle, that's another category, but most people covered by this are not really in that category. So let's speak a little bit about cash. What we mean by cash, all cash that you have on hand, at home, in your pocket, or in the bank, in checking and savings accounts. Also, non-delinquent loans that you have. Refundable deposits, if you put deposits on your apartment or your power company required deposit, those are your monies that are expected to be refunded, so you count them in. And you exclude from cash any interest which you accrued from these accounts, like savings accounts. The second category is the stocks and bonds, mutual funds, options, investments that you may have. And very important one is your retirement accounts like IRAs, 401ks, 403bs, all of these you have to give Zakat on the account value there, because if you want it to grow and to be blessed, you have to give Zakat on it. If you don't have enough cash on hand to give Zakat on those accounts that you don't have access to, then you write it down and you give Zakat in the future once you liquidate these accounts or once you have enough cash on hand. The next category is gold and silver. If you own any gold or silver or precious metals, you should be paying Zakat on it, unless it is for regular use by women and for jewelry, then it's exempt. The next category is business, and we're talking about the net worth of that business. So you calculate the assets minus the liabilities. What we mean by assets is the business worth, all the business bank accounts, the cash on hand, the stocks, the inventory that you have, the capital, and also you include accounts receivable, products that you sold and you expect to get paid on. And liabilities, you subtract loans that you may have that you borrowed for this business, and the accounts payables. If you owe other companies money, you exclude that. Taxes also, if you owe the government any taxes, you exclude those too. So the business net worth, doesn't matter what type of business, it is all zakatable, the value of that business. The fifth is the real estate and rental properties. You should include the value that the property appraiser in your county or city gives you. You can log into their website, see your property and the value of it according to their estimates. Use that. Do not use the market value, because that fluctuates up and down, and you use the taxable value that the property appraiser has, which is a much lower value. And that's only on your secondary home and other properties, lands or timeshare that you got. Also add to it any income from rental properties. That's zakatable also. Farmlands, farmers have to pay zakat on the value of their lands. What you exclude is your primary home where you live, or the home that you bought and you allow your family to live for free, your parents or your children or other family members. If they pay you rent, then you have to pay zakat on that property, on the value of that property. The sixth category is salaries, wages from hourly work and bonuses. You calculate the net income, meaning after tax and after you pay FICA and other fees, you have to include that. The fees for service, doctors, lawyers, mechanics, other people, plumbers, they don't get salaries, they get fees for their service. So they have to calculate all their income and subtract from it the taxes they have to pay, and they then pay on that. And you have to exclude from that. It doesn't matter where the income came from. For your family, you have to exclude the average living expenses based on the government published exemptions. Let's look at that. This table here shows you if you are a family of one, you are a single person living alone, then you get an exemption of 12,140. If you are two people or married, no children, then your exemption is 16,460 and so on. So if you are a member of a family that's six, the size of your family, then your exemption $33,740. If your net income is below that, you don't pay any zakat on it. For each additional member in your family, if you have more children or you have parents living with you at your expense, you also can get additional exemptions for them. For each person, $4,320 in exemption. Now, the zakat rate for most of these is 2.5% annually. So it's a fraction of what you make. You keep 97.5 and you pay 2.5% only. Zakat rate is higher for agricultural products because those are lands that Allah created, showered by rain that Allah sends. So if you pay 10% on those unless you're using artificial means to water your land. And on the treasures extracted from the earth, it's 20%. So if you are a corporation extracting oil or natural gas or spring water or other minerals, iron, copper, and so on, it's 20% of what you extract from the earth should be paid in zakat. If you own cattle, then for every 40 sheep, you give one, which is the 2.5% percentage, and so on. Now, the nisab for zakat is the equivalent of 3 ounces of gold, which is valued at this time in this Ramadan 1439 around 3,965. If you have income or assets below that, you don't pay zakat. If you have more than that, you should pay zakat. Who collects the zakat? The Prophet ﷺ used to have his own authorized agents to collect zakat. He would send them to different cities and tribes to collect zakat, calculate it, and distribute it to the needy in those cities or tribes. And that's, as you can see it in Fiqh Sunnah on page 76 of volume 3 by the scholar Sayyid Sabiq. And the distribution of zakat in our local Central Florida community, the Islamic Society of Central Florida is responsible for collecting and distributing zakat, and therefore you should be paying your zakat right here where you live. Now, where do these zakats get distributed to? According to Surah Ayah 60, Allah gave us 8 categories we will talk about in just a moment that we distribute to. The transfer of zakat, one of the big mistakes that a lot of people do is they send their zakat overseas to family or to friends or to through relief organizations, that is incorrect payment of zakat, which means zakat doesn't count. It's considered just general sadaqah, because zakat is like tax. You pay it where you live. If your house is in Orange County, Florida, then you pay property tax to Orange County, Florida, not to any other county or other country. And your income tax, you pay it to the IRS. If you pay it to another country's government, the IRS will not be satisfied and they demand payment of your tax. Zakat is very similar, and that's why we see from the hadith of Mu'adh ibn Jabal, who went to Yemen. The Prophet assigned him there to collect zakat and distribute zakat back to the people of Yemen. And when he attempted to send the zakat to Medina in the time of Umar ibn al-Khattab radiallahu anh, they argued over it. Umar would not accept it because he said, you have to spend it in Yemen. And Muaz said, my only reason I'm sending it to you is because this is surplus and I don't have any more poor people to give it to. So all the four madhahib, they see that transferring zakat from one locale to another is not allowed, not permissible, and disliked, and may not be acceptable payment of zakat. So you have to pay to your local community, and right here we have a zakat agency that collects the zakat and distributes it and helps many families in Central Florida. Now, the 8 categories and recipients of zakat are the poor, or al-fuqara, and the needy, al-masakin, the employees, al-amilin alayha, and al-mu'allafati qulubuhum, those who want to reconcile their hearts to Islam, and the prisoners, or al-riqab, used to be the slaves. Now these are the people who lost their freedom, and al-gharimin, those who are in debt because of, natural disasters or things outside their control, not those who, uh, drown in debt because they are overspending over their means on credit cards and so on. Also, fi sabilillah, that is usually for the defense of Muslim lands, and in this case, here in the States, it's for Islamic education, to defend the faith, and for dawah purposes, and for defending Islamic values. And the last is Ibn Sabil, the wayfarer, someone who lost all their belongings and their money, and they need to get back home, so you can help them with zakat. Let me give you an example for zakat. Most of you are employees somewhere and you get income. So let's say you're a family of 5, husband, wife, and 3 children. And let's say your combined income is 70,000. Then, and you have no other property and businesses that you have. I'm trying to use a simple example here. If you have more complicated situation, come and see me and we'll discuss the details. To calculate, first you have to take out the taxes, how much you pay in taxes. Let's say it differs from one person to another, but let's say it's $17,000 out of your 70 goes to the IRS. So the income that you take home is 53,000 only. And from those, based on the table we saw earlier, the family exemptions are $29,420. So that's the amount that you have to subtract from your net income, and you'll be left with $23,580, which is subject to zakat, and that is you multiply by 2.5% to get the amount $589.50. So that's about 1% of your net income, less than 1% of your gross income. Compare that with your tax, how much you pay in tax. Zakat is a very small amount. So I hope that you enjoyed this presentation on zakat. I'm sure you have many questions. Feel free to send me an email or come by our office or see me or other imams at the masjid, and we will be happy and glad to assist you. We hope, inshallah, you will give your zakat during this Ramadan, gain multiple blessings, and help your Muslim sisters and brothers in the community. Jazakumullah khair. Till we see you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.